Now you probably never heard of this one, or maybe you have, but if you haven't, it's about damn time. This is bún chả. When I was first introduced to this, we had it as a breakfast in Hanoi, and it was incredible. It is a multi-sensory experience, just like some of my favorite dishes. I'm a very indecisive eater. I don't know what I want, so I order too many things. If you make this bún chả, it comes with so many different things. It comes with a sweet yet savory hot broth with like a grilled sort of Vietnamese meatball and pork belly and rice noodles and herbs and even crispy spring rolls. I mean, it's like a whole thing. This is like a omakase experience of a dish all in one. So that being said, let's make this, shall we? We're gonna start by preparing our meats, then we'll make a quick pickle, a simple broth, and lastly, a little bonus that is typically traditionally served with bún chả. We're gonna start with our meatball base, and that begins with 1 stalk of lemongrass. And you're just gonna beat the shit out of it. Take a bowl. You can take the back of your knife and kind of do this, but I want you to beat the out of this thing. You can kind of roll it a little bit. You can use a meat mallet. Really, you can use almost anything to break it up, but I want it to be really broken up. If you smell it, it smells good. I'm actually gonna smash this a little more with a pan. Now your family's ears might not work anymore, but your lemongrass is very close to being finely chopped. At this stage, you're gonna remove the dry top because I really only want the bottom half. This part is sort of a little too woody to go in there. All right, so now you're gonna cut on a steep bias. The reason we cut on a bias is because that's sort of the way that lemongrass grows. Once it starts getting hard to cut, you know you're going a little too far into the stem. So I'll stop there. Then you're just gonna take your knife and run it through this and then chop it as finely as you can get it. I mean, I just started chopping and it's already about 75% of the way there maybe. Okay, once that's finely chopped, that's gonna go into a bowl. Shallot, you're gonna cut that in half, lengthwise, in half again. These shallots look absolutely immaculate. And I want you to very finely chop this. If you want it even finer, you can run your knife through it a couple times after doing that. All right, I'm gonna add that to my bowl. Now 4 cloves of garlic, also finely chopped. You wanna make that quick, flat side of the knife. That's almost there. Again, repeat with all your garlic. Then you just kind of run your knife through it a couple of times and you have finely chopped garlic. That can go in here. All right, so we've got Thai basil. We're gonna very finely chop that, sort of like a chiffonade first, one direction. Now we have all these lines going this way from the chiffonade. So now we're gonna go the other way. Just get that a bit finer. Beautiful. We're gonna want about a half cup finely chopped into our bowl. All right, 1.5 pounds of fatty ground pork. You're gonna add all that stuff you just chopped to your pork, along with 2 teaspoons of ground black pepper, 2.5 tablespoons of sugar. I know it's a lot. 3 tablespoons of fish sauce. Something magical happens when you add that quantity of sugar and fish sauce. And what that is the process of salty caramelization, which is exactly what we want. Now you're just gonna mix that together thoroughly by hand until not just evenly incorporated, but nice and homogeneous. I'm almost sort of kneading it. I'm picking up, folding it over itself and pushing it back in very quickly. I almost wanna kind of emulsify that fat with both the liquid from the pork, but also the liquid from all the vegetables so that it becomes one gluey, nice mass. Should look tacky, beautiful, like that. Now, it's ideal if you let this marinate. This is essentially like a casingless sausage. So cover this with plastic wrap, let it marinate for at least 30 minutes, or ideally overnight. Our other meat is pork belly, but first we need to make a little marinade. So that's gonna be 2 tablespoons of sugar, 2.5 tablespoons of fish sauce. We're seeing a little reoccurring theme here, sugar and fish sauce. 3 cloves of garlic, finely chopped. So I'm gonna smash them, and then I'm just gonna chop them up. And then 2 green onions, just the whites, finely chopped. That'll go into my bowl, and you're just gonna whisk that together. Now, we have 1.5 pounds of a beautiful skinless pork belly, but we still have a nice fat cap. You really wanna find pork belly that has a nice ratio of meat and fat. We don't want anything too fatty, but also if it's too fatty, that's not that big of a deal. Okay, so you need the pork belly to be sort of in more manageable pieces, right? I want this around 2 to 2.5 inches long, and you're gonna cut it into 1/4 inch thick slices. But you can see how nice of a ratio of meat and fat is. We almost have a little bit more meat than fat, and that's kind of optimal. When this crisps up, it'll be not only fatty, but nice and juicy and meaty. And we're gonna add that pork to our marinade, and just toss to coat. Make sure to really massage that in there so it coats every single little piece. Now again, you can cook this right away, but ideally you'll let this marinate along with your ground pork. Again, at least 30 minutes up to overnight, ideally overnight. For your pickles, which I guess by technicality could be optional, but they're not. Gotta make them. So 2 cups of white distilled vinegar, 1.5 cups of water, 1/4 cup of sugar, and a tablespoon of kosher salt. It's a salty, sweet kind of a pickle. Okay, set that to high and bring it to a boil. Now, while that's boiling, we're gonna cut our veg. We have 2 large-ish carrots and 1 daikon, both peeled, stems removed. You're gonna cut them in half lengthwise, and then I just want to be clear. If you don't have a mandolin, you can literally just use your knife and cut these yourself. The only problem, that's a good carrot. The only problem is your cuts might end up being more inconsistent. It'll take you a little longer. It's not the end of the world, but if you want them thinner, you want them really consistent, finger death trap. Okay, whether you're using a knife or a mandolin, thickness on this will be, we'll just call it 1/8 of an inch. And you're gonna do that with all your carrots and all your daikon. Look at that. That's all gonna go into a heat-proof container. So once this liquid comes up to a boil, you can cut off the heat. And we just need this hot liquid poured directly over your pickles. Go nice and slow, you don't want it to splash and burn yourself. And you're gonna pour just enough to cover them. You may have some pickle liquid left over. If you do, save it. You can use it to pickle other stuff. Just let it cool back down. You can put it in another container, leave it in the fridge. Now, crucial point, we wanna make sure this stays submerged. So there's two ways to do that. You can either put a paper towel on top and adhere it. You can also do it with plastic wrap, where you essentially take a very small layer of plastic wrap, one singular layer, and you just lay it on top of the vegetable. So you see how I'm pressing it onto the top, and it's actually adhering to the liquid. So the surface tension of that liquid kind of suctioning to the plastic wrap is bringing just enough of a layer of hot pickle liquid above the vegetables so everything below it gets pickled and nothing doesn't. Let that come to room temperature and you have pickles. Moving on. Now, the buncha dipping sauce. Typically, this is mostly just water, sugar, fish sauce, and a little vinegar. I'm using pork stock instead of water because it's yummy. Just more flavor. But if you want to be more traditional, you probably would use water. That said, pork stock for me. So we're gonna do 4.5 cups of a nice, flavorful pork stock. You could hypothetically use chicken stock, maybe even beef stock, but I'm doing pork since we have, well, pork is the meat, isn't it? Now we're gonna add 1/2 cup of white sugar, 1/2 cup of fish sauce, and 3 tablespoons of white distilled vinegar. Heat that over medium heat. I don't really want to boil this too much, but you're gonna bring it up to a boil, cut off the heat, and then all you need to do is just keep it hot. Serve it hot. Now, once it's time to grill, you want around 2-ounce pork patties. You can make them smaller, you can make them as big or as small as you want. You got 1.5 pounds of ground meat, so think about it like that, right? How many people are you serving, etc. I also like my patties to be not too big so they don't have too much presence in the bowl. Something kind of like that. Almost like a McDonald's chicken nugget sort of shape, but more round, more of a patty shape, kind of like that. Then just repeat the rest of your pork. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So we get, we'll call it 28 to 30 of these little patties. That way everybody who eats this beautiful buncha will get a heaping portion of pork. We've already finished our pork belly, we've finished our patties. Now, spring rolls. All right, so we have 5 wood ear mushrooms. They look weird, they feel weird. You could cut these out. This is kind of optional, but very traditional, adds a really nice texture, like sort of almost like a cartilagey crunch, but they're mushrooms. So you're gonna finally chop them. First you go one direction. Crazy, he's literally just like an ear. So now we're gonna go the other way. And then we have some pre-cooked rice noodles, about 1 cup of those. And you're just gonna kind of run your knife through them in 3 segments, 1, 2, and 3. About, roughly an inch or so that they're in smaller pieces. That in. And then we have a 1/2 pound of shrimp. All of this you can do in a food processor, but I'm just showing you how to do it with your knife, right? You can take your shrimp, dump them out. They're already peeled, they're already deveined here. And then I'm just gonna chop them up. Just gonna run my knife through them, bring it together, run my knife through them. This doesn't have to be like a fine paste or anything, but you want it to look like ground meat and you want it to kind of stick together. You can see how it's starting to sort of form a paste, something cohesive rather. That should be good enough. Then to that, we're gonna add a 1/2 pound of ground pork, 1 teaspoon kosher salt. We have the whites finely chopped of 2 green onions and 1 medium carrot julienned. Give that a mix by hand until thoroughly combined. And once that's for the most part mixed, we'll then add 2 large eggs and just mix that in. All right, now we're ready to fill our spring rolls. This is kind of an optional step, but I do it every time and I just can't help myself. If you wanna make sure that your spring roll filling is seasoned properly, you can't eat it raw, but you can cook a tiny little smidgen of it in a pan. So I've got a small pan here, set over medium-high heat, put it in there. I don't really care about getting any Maillard on it. I just need to get it cooked all the way through so I don't die, and also so I can taste it for any seasoning level. So we'll let that cook. Very, very tiny little thin patty, like 1 to 2 minutes per side until cooked through. All right, smells good. This is your last chance to season it. So taste it. If you feel like it needs a little something, you wanna throw in some other flavor or you want more salt or whatever, this is the chance to taste and add to your taste. Next, we'll soak our rice paper in lukewarm water for about 2 to 5 seconds. For each sheet, the paper should still feel slightly stiff when you pull it out, but as it sits, it will loosen up. So lay it flat, preferably on a damp wooden cutting board to avoid sticking, obviously because we don't want it to stick. We're gonna add our farce to our spring roll. I'm going into the lower third, kind of making it into the final shape I want it to be because the filling is the majority of the shape of this. We're gonna take our rice paper roll, fold it up and over that, roll it up slightly, and then we're gonna take the sides, fold those in, Nice and taut, and then we're gonna roll it all the way up, nice and tight. Now repeat that until you've used all of your filling. Then you have something that not only looks beautiful, but is ready to be fried. Now, let's grill.
So we're gonna start by spraying our grill with cooking spray. Then lay out your patties side by side in rows. Just try to fit as many as you can if you're using a grill basket. Let that sear over high heat for anywhere between 2 to 3 minutes. Be cautious of flare-ups. We don't want these to burn, but we do want a little bit of char on there. Then give them a flip and sear for an additional 2 to 3 minutes. Now at this point, the patty should be done, but if you want to check it with a thermometer, the internal temp should be 165 Fahrenheit. Now while those are cooking, you should also throw on your pork belly, which again, you're gonna sear for about 2 to 3 minutes per side. These cook very quickly and they flare up aggressively if you're grilling over charcoal. So, be cautious not to completely burn them. Now once you've got some good color and a little bit of char on there, remove them from the grill and place on a sheet tray to rest. Now while those are resting, you can go ahead and fry your assembled spring rolls.
Here I have a pot with high smoke point oil, canola oil, avocado oil, etc. Filled up about halfway in a 6.5, 7 quart pot, so like 3 quarts of oil. Heated to 350 Fahrenheit, and we're gonna add these little boys to fry, quite simply. You may wanna have a toothpick or something sharp to poke in case they bubble up too much. They will get these sort of like crazy bubbles, just pop them. All right, now, there's a few ways to tell if these are done. First of all, the outside's crisp. They're not gonna really brown a ton because it's rice paper. You can take a thermometer and just kind of stick it in one of the ends. You want the internal temperature around 165 Fahrenheit. If it is, you're done. Pull them out. If it's a little higher, that's fine too. These are 190, that's totally fine. But look how crisp these little guys look. Take those out, drain them on a wire rack, and repeat the rest. Your beautiful spring rolls.
Now we have our crispy guys done. We're ready to plate.
So first, if you made the egg rolls, you're gonna cut them in half and kind of line them up on a platter. Then lay out your freshly grilled meatballs, pork belly into a shallow serving bowl and ladle over your hot broth. And finally, top with some of your pickles. Serve and enjoy. Finally, it's time. How do you eat something like this? Well, very simply, however you want. It's always served with finely chopped garlic, thinly sliced chilies, so I like a little bit of heat. So I'm gonna throw some chilies in there. This is a personalized thing. You add as much as you want. Add a nice little spoonful of garlic, boom. Stir that into the broth, let that kind of perfume the whole thing. I'm gonna grab a little pork patty. The broth is insane. Take some noodle, dunk that in the broth. You're gonna take your egg roll, if you made them, dip that. That is phenomenal. And then obviously you can use the herbs as you please. You can throw a bunch in, throw a little at a time. You can put a little leaf on your spoon and then eat that with the broth. Buncha is a whole experience. The sweet, salty, rich umami flavor of the broth. The meat is like both herbaceous and refreshing, but also rich and charcoaly and smoky. Of course, the pork really provides that like fatty richness, which is all cut by the broth because the broth is so tart, yet salty, yet sweet. Umami, rich. And the more chilies you add, the spicier it gets. The more garlic you add, the more garlicky it gets. But it's just like a slurry of textures and flavors hitting you in the face left and right. A perfect meal for somebody who can't decide what the hell they want to eat because there's probably 4 million different ways to enjoy this. When you sit down to eat this isn't one meal. This is like 100 meals combined into one. And if you decide to make it, this is the one to make at home. I feel confident in this recipe. It reminds me of when I was in Hanoi, which was the first time I ever had buncha. Shout out to Ayal from Unnamed Traveler, by the way. Thank you for that. Here's my buncha. What do you think? Let us know, Ayal. What do you think? Anyway, love you. Subscribe. Bye.